Welcome to NMH at 1, where we inform you on the news making waves in Namibia and beyond, all through the lunch hour.
Coming up in today's broadcast, Ombudsman Basilius Dyakugha has slammed the City of Windhoek for a decision to charge residents for police services. Owner of PsT Bet Steve Hamunyela says 287 punters betted on Swapo vice presidential and secretary general candidates. Affirmative Repositioning movement leader Job Amupanda is threatening to sue after he was omitted from the board of the National Commission on Research, Science and Technology.
These stories, economic news, sports updates and international headlines coming your way, read to you by Aina, Kweyo and Glenara Shipura.
In today's midday news update, the Section 89 independent panel this morning handed over a final report to South African National Assembly Speaker Nosiwe Mopisala Nkonkala regarding work done into probing the Falafala farm saga, in which money raised from the game proceeds on President Cyril Ramaphosa's farm, which had been kept there. At the beginning of June, former State Security Agency head Arthur Fraser opened a criminal case of corruption, money laundering, and defeating the ends of justice against Ramaphosa over the theft of $60 million Namibian at his Falafala farm in Limpopo in February 2020. Instead, the burglary allegedly committed by a group of Namibian nationals was allegedly covered up, and the thieves were tracked down clandestinely and interrogated by the head of the Presidential Protection Services, General Wally Rod.
Now, please to remember to engage us on social media as we continue to bring you pertinent news and events as they occur. Visual news coming up after the break.
Flex is your health and fitness show that focuses on the health of the mind, body and spirit. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact zone@synergy.com.na.
Let's get into our visual news stories. Onanjokwe Intermediate Hospital on Friday received medical equipment worth $2.9 million from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. The donation comes after members of the church fast for the first Sunday of each month and miss 2 consecutive meals that day. The equipment is particularly for the maternity ward to improve the provision of the health services to mothers. The hospital offers maternity services to about 700 mothers each month.
Main funder of public health care services in the country, and stakeholders that can be our development cooperation partners, other governments from other parts of the world, the private sector, or as we have today, a church supporting the provision of public health care services. And I'm also giving that background to demonstrate that this hospital has been quite fortunate in terms of receiving this support from various stakeholders. So I stand before you here today with great joy at this hospital.
Through you and through our distinguished guest here, let me inform you that the funding for the humanitarian efforts that is provided by our church, like this one, comes from individual church members. once every month, members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints go without food for 2 consecutive meals and give generously the money they would have spent on food to their bishops for humanitarian and other services.
The community of Wombed held a peaceful demonstration this morning west of their settlement office to raise their grievances, concerns and problems publicly. Watch as one of their organizers, Matthew Feldschoon, reads their petition.
En dat voelt dus lekker voor het winkel is lekker. Toen onze spaar het heeltemal veranderd. En die prijs is ook nou gemakkelijk zitten aan de opening. Maar ik is bij je tevreden met de alleen ze pogingen voor ons. Wat is je bij je gehad dat je bij jou. Want spaar is onze winkel.
Ek is uiteindelik hartlik bly dat Spar oopgemaak het. Die ander winkels het baie goed gedoen in hierdie tyd terwyl Spar afgebrand was. Maar ons is in die invloeks van Desember maand en nog 'n winkel wat oopgemaak het. Hierdie fantastiese groot winkel wat oopgemaak het, wat ook alles het. Maak net so dat ons mense wat aankom Henties Baai toe, wat gaan vakansie kon hou, sodat ons 'n goeie diens kan lewer aan almal. En nie net almal hoef in rye te staan by 1 of 2 winkels nie. Nou het ons nog 'n pragtige winkel oopgemaak. En wat die mense reg gekry het in hierdie kort tydperk van dit afgebrand het tot wat vandag hier staan, is net God se genade.
Wat sou u boodskap wees aan die eienaars van Spar?
Aan Deleen, Johan, Aggebach, alle kinders. Ek kan net vir hulle sê dankie. Dankie uit my hart uit. Dankie van Henties Baai af. Dankie wat julle vir hierdie dorp beteken. Dankie wat julle vir hierdie dorp nog altyd beteken het. Vir al die werk wat julle vir ons gedoen het, dat julle sorg dat die polisiestasies oorgeverf. Julle het die tuine vir ons gedoen by die poskantoor het julle ons die tuine gedoen in hierdie swaar tyd terwyl julle mense nie werk gehad het. En na alles het hulle 75 dink ek van hulle mense deeltyd betaal in hierdie hele tydperk waar daar nie werk was nie. En daarvoor haal ek my hoed vir hulle af. Hulle is net geseën.
We apologize for the technical difficulties. That was the mayor of Henties Bay, Levis Vermaak, who tells us about his thoughts on the opening of a brand new Spar in Henties Bay after the previous one burned down.
Poverty. For reasons only known to these institutions, they don't employ people from Waramat, and that becomes a matter of concern for us who are living in Waramat. Why don't they want to employ us? Why? What are the reasons? Yes. Why did they retrench employees from Barambat while they have received a fine?
My mother was a kitchen girl. My father was a garden boy. That's why I'm a unionist. I'm a unionist. I'm a unionist. Come on, Gorilla! Hey! Come on, Gorilla! Hey! Come on, Gorilla! Gorilla! Come on, Gorilla! Hey!
After the break, we review pertinent stories from across the country in our daily newspaper. Stay with NMH at 1.
Kletskompas is 'n Afrikaanse kontinuïteitsprogram met Namibiese nuus en onderhoude. As jy jou handelsmerk of veldtog op hierdie platform wil vertoon, kontak klets@synergy.com.na.
Let's take a look at our newspaper review. Former Swapo Secretary General Pendukeni Ivula Itana says she opposed at Politburo level former President Hifikepunye Pohamba's unconstitutional decision to hand power to President Hage Geingob without an election taking place. Pohamba officially resigned as Swapo President on 20th April 2015 and handed the position to Geingob, who was Vice President of the party at the time. In one instance, on 26 October 2016, Swapo paid nearly 20,000 Namibia for a full-page media release in which then Secretary for Information Helmut Angula lambasted the media and party members who called Geingob an acting president. Ombudsman Basilius Dyakugha has slammed the City of Windhoek for the decision to charge residents for police services. The municipality last week announced that as of the 1st of January 2023, requests for police assistance during racing events, sporting events, and other events will be charged at $52 and 50 cents per hour, while a road accident report will cost $63 Namibian.
Afrikaans daily newspaper Republican reports victims and those seeking refuge from gender-based violence may be left without a place to go after the decision to close shelters nationwide due to the Ministry of Gender and Equality, Poverty Eradication and Social Welfare's alleged lack of money to maintain these institutions. The closure is contrary to the recommendations during a recent National Men's Conference, where it was decided that more resources should be made available for the erection of structures to offer shelter to victims of violence. A woman who allegedly caused her baby's daughter's death by banging her head against a door several times and then allegedly tried to strangle her 7-year-old son has failed to appeal against the refusal of bail. According to the state, Jennifer Shipanga was under the influence of cocaine when she allegedly committed the crimes earlier this year and faces one charge of murder, attempted murder, and assault with intent to seriously injure.
On its front page, the Algemene Zeitung today reports that while the Canadian gas and oil exploration company Recon Africa is moving forward with its exploration plans in Botswana, the company's low share price on the Toronto Stock Exchange also does not appear to be preventing it from wanting to drill a significant number of further test wells, altogether 12 in number in the Kavango region. Now, Recon Africa has invited affected and interested parties to submit their written input and rejections for an environmental clearance certificate that Recon Africa will request the Namibian Environmental Commissioner to issue. Such ECC would allow the company to sink these said 12 exploratory boreholes, some of which are adjacent to the Omatako Omuramba that flows to the Okavango River, as well as the Kaudam National Park. On page 2, the Allgemeine Zeitung tells us more about the feedback that the Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Tourism has provided after the conclusion of the COP27 climate conference. It seems as though the biggest stumbling block is the fact that most economies cannot turn previous promises made in line with the Paris Accord into reality. The creation of a fund for losses and damages suffered by the most affected countries is regarded as a positive development by the MEFT. We'll be back with more newspaper review. Do stay with us.
In Business 7, you get news on current economic, financial, and business matters in Namibia. The weekly show features interviews with experts and in-depth analysis of burning issues in a way that caters for ordinary Namibians and business connoisseurs alike. For news-related or advertising queries, please contact B7 at synergy.com.na.
Let us continue with our newspaper review. Owner of PsT Bet Steve Hamunyela says 287 punters betted on Swapo Vice Presidential and Secretary General candidates. According to him, 38 people put stakes on Secretary General candidate Armas Amkuyu, while 29 people believe Sophia Shaningwa would take the cut. Hamunyela said 1,899 Namibian dollars was put in favor of Amukuyu, with 1,628 Namibian dollars for Shaningwa. On the vice presidential candidate, 103 punters believed Netumbo Nandi-Ndaitwah would win. Now, according to the paper's page 3, Affirmative Repositioning movement leader Job Amupanda is threatening to sue after he was omitted from the board of National Commission on Research, Science and Technology. Through his lawyer Kadhila Amomo, Amupanda is claiming that the Minister of Higher Education, Training and Innovation, Ita Kanji Murangis, unlawfully and deliberately omitted him from the directors who were appointed.
Another case of a 26-year-old mother of 3 who allegedly had her womb removed without her consent in Windhoek Central Hospital in 2017 is yet to be determined. According to the party's status report, Armalia Festus and the Health Ministry have not yet filed the necessary documents as ordered by the court during previous proceedings on 30th August. Now, according to the paper's page 3, Police Chief Joseph Shikongo, number of criminal cases reported last year while issuing a stern warning to officers who are smuggling illegal items, including drugs, into police holding cells. According to him, these illegal activities are skyrocketing and officers should be held accountable.
Now, moving on to Market Watch. For the first time, Agra reported a net profit before tax of more than 100 million Namibian dollars for the financial year 2021-2022. This was revealed at Agra's annual general meeting held in Windhoek last week. The meeting was well attended by Agra's shareholders, the Agra Board of Directors and Management. Agra CEO Arnold Klein noted that he is proud of Agra's financial performance as they recorded a 10.4% growth in revenue for the group, with a turnover of 1,997 billion Namibian dollars for the previous financial year.
Diesel in South Africa is set for a steep cut next week, but petrol may climb despite oil price plunge. Stay with NMH at 1 as we head into economic news on the other side of this break with Aina Kweyo.
The My.NA Cars Show provides viewers with the best in-class cars content, engaging interviews, as well as a showcase of the latest cars-related news, products, and services. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact my.na at synergy.com.na. My.na Cars, more than just a ride.
Thank you very much for watching our show this afternoon. Let's get into our economic news. As oil prices plunged to their lowest level since 2021, diesel prices in South Africa look set to ease from record high next week, but petrol may still see a hike. According to the latest information from the Central Energy Fund, petrol increase may be hiked by 38 cents to 48 cents a litre on Wednesday, but diesel may be cut from record high levels and currently looks set for a decrease between R1.29 and R1.35 a litre. The fuel prices are usually adjusted on the first Wednesday of the month and determined by the price of oil and the rand-dollar exchange rate. On Monday, Brent crude oil fell almost 2% to the $82 per barrel. It is now down almost 11% over the last month and has lost 20% since the end of August. Following the invasion of Ukraine earlier this year, it traded above $130. Oil came under renewed pressure as a concern grew about the outlook for the Chinese economy. While China's daily COVID-19 cases hit new record highs, strict lockdowns are being enforced, which will hit China's economic growth. Bloomberg reports a sharp decline in peak hour traffic congestion data from the Chinese research engine Baidu. On Monday in Beijing, traffic was down 45% from a year ago, while in Guangzhou it was 35% lower. Crowds are protesting the Chinese lockdowns, raising fears of a crackdown. Now moving on to our next story. Meta Platforms was slapped with a 4.7 billion rand fine for failing to prevent the leak of personal data of more than 500 million users of its Facebook service. The Irish Data Protection Commission, the main privacy watchdog for Meta in the European Union, levied the fine following a probe that found the social media company had failed to apply strict safeguard required under the block sweeping General Data Protection Regulation. On top of the fine, the third biggest under GDPR, the watchdog ordered Meta's Irish unit to make sure its processing complies with the law, according to an emailed statement on Monday. The Irish authority is the lead watchdog of some Silicon Valley's biggest tech firms that have set up on an EU base in the country, including Meta. It opened its probes following revelations that a collated data set of Facebook personal data had been published on the internet. Personal information on 533 million Facebook users worldwide re-emerged on a hacker's website last year, including their phone numbers and email addresses. Now let's have a look at our economic indicators. $1 trades for 60 Namibian dollars and 96 cents, a 0.2 increase in local currency. First Rand Namibia Limited stock price increased by 0.01%, while the rest of the stock prices on Namibia Stock Exchange remain unchanged. Local index increased by 0.003%, while overall index increased by 0.1%. Gold is valued at $1,752 while Brent crude oil is valued at $83.90 per barrel. 3 migrants who arrived at the Conakry Island from Nigeria will have to return home under stowaway laws. This and more stories from the African continent coming up on NMH at 1 after the break.
Erongo region. For news-related or advertising queries, contact erongotalk@synergy.com.na. Erongo Talk, our community, your news.
Let's get into the news from Africa. 3 migrants who had arrived at Conakry Island from Nigeria will have to return home under stowaway laws, a police spokesperson has said. The men were taken to the hospital following their arrival. 3 men arrived in Conakry Island after an 11-day journey on top of a rudder of a tanker, Spanish Sea Rescue Services said. A police spokesperson told the Reuters news agency on Tuesday that the migrants should be returned home under stowaway laws. The Althini, the second tanker, arrived in Las Palmas on the island of Gran Canaria after departing from Lagos in Nigeria on the 17th of November, according to marine traffic. The ship was sailing under the Maltese flag. A Canarian police spokesperson said it was up to the ship's operator to provide the men with a temporary accommodation and bring them back to Nigeria as soon as possible. The 3 men were immediately taken to the hospital following their arrival and being treated for moderate dehydration and hypothermia. There were only about a half meter, 20 inches between their feet and the water. This is according to a photo seen by the EFE news agency. Helena Maolane, director of the Walking Borders Migrants NGO, told Reuters that the migrants may be able to remain in Spain if they claim asylum. On several previous occasions, stowaways were able to remain in Spain with political asylum, Moleno said. This is not the first time people have risked their lives seeking abroad ships to reach Spain. In 2020, a 14-year-old boy reached Spain from Lagos after a journey lasting 2 weeks, also atop of a ship's rudder, and another boat carried 3 men atop of its rudder. Thousands of migrants and refugees from North and West Africa have reached Spain in recent years. According to figures from the UN Refugee Agency, the Canary Island received over half of almost 30,000 arrivals so far in 2022. Now moving on to our next story. The grave of anti-apartheid activist Chris Hani was vandalized in South Africa a week after the controversial announcement of the early release of his killer. Sources from the municipality of Ekurhuleni, where the monument dedicated to his memory, said yesterday. The monument consists of 4 marble columns symbolizing the pillar of struggle against white power led by the African National Congress, in power since the advent of democracy in 1994. A demonstration against the release of the assassin of Chris Hani in the Hall of Heroes of the anti-apartheid struggle, and whose disappearance is commemorated each year in South Africa, gathered dozens of people on Saturday at the call of the ANC. The ANC said in a statement, deeply saddened by the vandalism and discretion of the monument. Columnist, leader and senior member of Armed Wing of the Liberation Party, Chris Hani, who was 50, was killed at a close range in the driveway on the 10th of April 1993 by a Polish immigrant linked to the far-right white Afrikaner Jonas Wallus. Now, Wallus, who is now 69, has been sentenced to death, but the new regime abolished capital punishment in 1994, and his sentence was commuted to life imprisonment. Now, moving on to our next story. Kenyan ministers will forego their salaries of 1 month in solidarity with people who have been affected by ongoing drought in parts of the country. In a statement from the presidency, said said the cabinet agreed that the funds collected from all members of the cabinet would contribute to the state interventions to support affected Kenyans. It also noted the acceptability high prices of the staple food maize and pledge market support for farmers who were harvesting their crop. A minister had earlier indicated that the country would be importing millions of tons of maize, but the cabinet noted that this would now be done in February in order to give the farmers a priority to sell their produce to the market. Millions of Kenyans are currently facing hunger amid the ongoing drought and are in dire need of food aid. Last week, a government announced a fund drive for Kenyans to donate to victims of drought, including through a mobile money platform. Now, in international news this afternoon, Pakistan Minister of State of Foreign Affairs has met Afghanistan's acting Foreign Minister Amir Khan in the capital Kabul amid tension over cross-border violence. This story and more with Glenora Shipura when we return.
Chill Sessions is an entertainment show that brings you the latest hit, fashion, and entertainment news. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact chill@synergy.com.na. Chill Sessions, bringing art and entertainment to the people.
Getting into our international news, Hina Rabbani Kar, Pakistan's Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, has met Afghanistan's acting Foreign Minister Amir Khan Muttaqi in the capital Kabul amid tensions over cross-border violence. To Tuesday's visit comes a day after Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan armed group ended a month-long ceasefire, with Islamabad raising security concerns about Afghanistan-Pakistan border areas. The TTP, also known as Pakistan Taliban, has been fighting the Pakistani state for more than a decade. The arm demands the imposition of its readings of Islamic law and the release of its fighters, among other issues. Now, the Pakistan Taliban, which is ideologically aligned with the Afghan Taliban, on Monday asked its fighters to launch attacks across the country as military operations are ongoing against Mujahideen in different areas. So it is imperative for you to carry out attacks wherever you can in the entire country, the group said in a statement. Kabul and Islamabad were engaged in a war of words in April after Pakistan reportedly carried out deadly air raids inside Afghanistan following cross-border attacks blamed on the Pakistan Taliban. Pakistan says the TTP finds a safe haven in Afghanistan, a charge denied by the Taliban, which has been facilitating peace talks between the Pakistan Taliban and the Pakistan government. In our next story, the United States on Tuesday said it was deeply concerned by Cambodia's arrest of union leader Chim Sitar and called for her release and that of other detained trade unionists. The State Department said Sitar, whose union has been in a year-long dispute with the Naga World Casino, was arrested after returning to Cambodia from a labor conference in Australia. It said Cambodian authorities had previously interfered with workers' rights by detaining union leaders and workers protesting the termination of Naga World employees. The State Department also reiterated a call for the release of U.S. citizen Thierry Sang and said the Cambodian government should uphold labor rights obligations and mediate a resolution between Naga World and the union. Thierry Sang, a Cambodian-American lawyer and human rights activist, was among 60 opposition figures jailed in June on charges of conspiring to commit treason after a mass trial condemned by the U.S. and rights groups as politically motivated. Chaim Sitar is head of the labor rights-supported Union of Khmer employees of Naga World and was at the forefront of a strike at Cambodia's biggest casino, facing off against scores of riot police at protests in Phnom Penh. Stick around for the sports right after this. Getting into our local sports news, Namibian martial arts fighter Veya Hinda, Geraldo Bock, Eduardo Platt, Damian Muller, Arnold Jacob, Ronaldo Ferris, and Stefan Gilge will represent Namibia at the International Mixed Martial Arts Federation World Championship in Serbia, Belgrade next year during the week commencing the 12th February 2023 at the Stark Arena. Now, excitement builds as the 2022 edition of the Nedbank Desert Dash will for the first time see para cyclists competing in the 397-kilometer 24-hour race that sees cyclists riding through the Namib Desert from Windhoek to Swakopmund. Now, Olympic silver medalist Christine Boma is serving as the Marathon Sugar brand ambassador in an endorsement deal on her journey to the 2024 Olympic Games. Today, the Marathon Christine Boma Sugar 2 kg, 2.5 kg, and 5 kg packs in support of this one-of-a-kind partnership will be launched in support of the athlete. The brand has also, over the years, supported the Quinton Steelboat's athletic coaching and training clinics for many years. After the break, we take a look at the international sports. Before we get into our international sports, let's take a look at the World Cup results. In the last group matches from yesterday, Ecuador lost to Senegal 1-2, with Senegal heading to the knockout stages, while the host country suffered another defeat, losing 2-0 to the Netherlands. USA won 1-0 to Iran, the USA also heading to the knockout stages, along with the Netherlands and England, while Wales lost 0-3 to England. Lionel Messi and Robert Lewandowski head into Wednesday's showdown between Argentina and Poland, with the futures of what could be their final World Cup adventures hanging in the balance. Either one of the two of the biggest stars of European club football could fail to qualify for the knockout stages in Qatar and end their careers without tasting glory at the most prestigious tournament of all. Jens Müller has been following World Cups since the 1970s and says he has never seen so little enthusiasm from fellow Germans for their team at a major tournament. The mood would usually be a bit more euphoric, the 58-year-old says at a small, crowded Berlin pub where he watched Germany snatch a crucial draw against Spain on Sunday. Now, Brazil might be fretting about the state of Neymar's ankle, but if a successful World Cup campaign is built on a solid defense, then the foundations are there for tight side to win the title in Qatar. 2 games into Brazil's bid to win a record 6 World Cup, the Silaco have not conceded a goal and have not even given away a shot on target in victories over Serbia and Switzerland that saw them clinch qualification for the last 16 with a group game to spare. After the break, we take a look at the highlights. To stay with us.
Tourismus Namibia is a weekly tourism show that brings you the latest news in the tourism industry and topics related to that. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact tourismus@synergy.com.na for news and advertising related queries. Tourismus, bring the world to Namibia.
Thank you very much for watching our show this afternoon. If you're just joining us or if you've missed some of our top stories, here are the highlights. 3 migrants who had arrived at Conakry Island from Nigeria will have to return home under stowaway laws. Pakistan's Minister
Let's continue with our highlights. 3 migrants who had arrived at the Canary Island from Nigeria will have to return home under stowaway laws. Pakistan's Minister of State for Foreign Affairs has met Afghanistan's acting Foreign Minister Amir Khan Matigi in the capital Kabul amid tensions over cross-border violence. Now, Olympic silver medalist Christine Bommer is serving as the Marathon Sugar brand ambassador in an endorsement deal on her journey for the 2024 Olympic Games. And those have been your highlights. Remember to tune in every weekday at 1 p.m. to spend your lunch hour with NMH at 1, catching up on the latest news in Namibia, Africa, and the world, ranging from current affairs, economic news, sports, and international headlines. That is it from us in studio, but don't go anywhere because up next is Erongo Talk.
Hallo kykers en welkom by nog 'n episode van julle gunsteling en hoogs betroubare aanlyn nuusbron Erongo Talk. Dankie vir julle almal wat gereeld by ons inskakel. Vandag kuier ons op Henties Bay en bring vir julle die nuus, die weer en vertel ook vir julle waar die vis heel moontlik gaan byt. Ons deel met julle die amptelike opening van die splinternuwe spaar hier op die dorp. Soos gebruiklik is ons kalenderdag eerste op die lys en vandag vier ons rekenaarsekuriteitsdag. Geniet die video insetsel saam met ons. Nuus oor die bou van 'n nuwe laerskool in Narwel het soos 'n veldbrand versprei en is deur inwoners van Walvis Bay verwelkom. Die landelike kiesafdelingsraadslid vir die hawe dorp, Florian Donatus, het bevestig dat die grondwerk wat op 'n perseel aangrensend aan die Duine sekondêre skool plaasvind, die gebied voorberei vir die bou van 'n skool teen 'n geraamde koste van 3,5 miljoen Namibiese dollar. Donatus het verduidelik dat die staatsbefondste projek voorsiening maak vir 5 blokke wat die administratiewe en abolisiegeriewe insluit, as ook 4 blokke met 2 klaskamers elk, wat ongeveer 300 leerders gaan akkommodeer. Hy het gesê dat die gelykmaking van die grond gedoen word teen 'n koste van 350.000 Namibiese dollar met 5 kontrakteurs wat aangestel is en die tenders aan elke boublok toegeken is. Die bouproses sal na verwagting volgende week begin en moet teen die einde van Januarie voltooi wees. Donatus het beklemtoon dat die kontrak duidelik bepaal dat die bouproses binne die tydsraamwerk van 2 maande gedoen moet word. Hy het gesê die Erongo Streeksraad het geld via die Ministerie van Onderwys ontvang om oorbevolking en klaskamertekorte aan die kus te verlig. Hierdie fondse moet bestee word voor die einde van die boekjaar in April 2023. Die Erongo Streeksraad lei die projek deur die Direktoraat van Onderwys. Die skool wat in Swakopmund gebou word, is reeds halfpad klaar. Die agterstand in Walvis Bay was as gevolg van die munisipaliteit wat eers grond moes beskikbaar stel. Donatus het kinders en ouers wat in die hawedorp woon versoek om nie hoop te verloor nie. Onderwys, ontwikkeling en die verskaffing van infrastruktuur lê die Erongo leierskap na aan die harte. 'n Opgevoede nasie is 'n welvarende nasie. Kinders moet dus hard studeer en verseker dat hulle opgevoede en ingeligte leiers word, het Donatus gesê. Anton van Wyk, die hoof van sekondêre skool Die Duine, het gesê die nuwe skool sal verligting bring en meer opsies bied. Paul Fischer, 'n afgetrede hoof van laerskool Narwel, het gesê dit is 'n goeie stap, maar slegte nuus vir kinders wat vroegoggend in die mistige toestande oor die uiters besige B2 pad moet beweeg. Narwel groei egter en 'n tweede skool word verwelkom. In nog nuus, meer as 100 vroue het die onlangse Bank Windhoek Walvisbaai-tak se jaarlikse fondsinsamelingsgeleentheid bygewoon. By die geleentheid is bewusmaking oor kanker verhoog en vanjaar is ook fondse ingesamel om 'n gemeenskapsprojek vir gestremde kinders en kinders met leergestremdhede by te staan. Bank Windhoek verkoop elke jaar appels om fondse vir kankerbewusmaking in te samel. Daarbenewens moet elke tak van die bank 'n entrepreneursgeleentheid aanbied om fondse vir kanker en 'n gemeenskapsprojek in te samel. Die Bank Windhoek Walvisbaai-tak in samewerking met Rojo's restaurant het die lokaal en 'n buffet ontbyt vir die dames wat teenwoordig was geborg. Die opbrengs van die kaartjies wat verkoop is verdeel tussen die Kankervereniging van Namibia en die Stepping Stone School for Autism, 'n skool wat 43 kinders met outisme in die kusstreek huisves. Walvisbaai Spaar het ook die dames bederf met 'n geskenksakkie as blyk van waardering vir hulle ondersteuning van die projek wat Bank Windhoek se Walvisbaai-tak beoog om jaarliks aan te bied. Javier Punsel, 'n opvoeder by Stepping Stone School vir Autisme, het verduidelik dat die skool in swakopmoed kinders met spesiale behoeftes akkommodeer. Ons is 'n private organisasie wat afhanklik is van borge en skenkings. Ons is baie dankbaar en wil almal wat betrokke is by hierdie projek uit die diepte van ons harte bedank, het Punsel gesê. Hy het ook gesê die skenking sal die skool in staat stel om sy nuwe plan vir kinders met komplekse behoeftes te ontwikkel. Lisa Punsel, die organiseerder van die geleentheid, het ook haar persoonlike reis gedeel met 'n vriendin wat 'n dubbele mastektomie moes ondergaan. Die wreedheid van hierdie siekte gee jou littekens, veel meer as wat jy kan tel, en dit is 'n proses om daardie letsels te besit in plaas daarvan om daarvoor bang te wees. Om 'n eind saam met 'n vriend te stap, het my laat besef dat die lewe 'n geskenk is en nie 'n gegewe reg is nie. Kanker kan baie van 'n mens steel, maar dit sal nooit liefde of hoop steel nie, het Punsel gesê. En daarmee kom ons aan die einde van vandag se nuus.
Kaap vol hoop vertel stories van die Kaap en sy mense en uit die stories en ervarings deel ons mooi en unieke plekke om te sien en te ervaar. Kaap vol hoop gaan waar die Kaapenaars gaan en gaan kuier waar die Kaapenaars kuier. Van die strande tot die wynlande en die sportvelde tot die restaurante. Ons kuier dalk sommer ook in iemand se kombuis vir daai familieresep van ouma. Ons eet die Kaapse tradisionele kosse en drink van sy beste wyne. Kaap vol hoop gesels met die gewone Kaapenaar en soms ook met die meer bekendes, maar week vir week vertel ons elkeen sy eie unieke storie op sy unieke manier. Kaap vol hoop kyk ook uit vir die Namibiërs in die Kaap. Sommige kom kuier net en sommige maak die Kaap hulle nuwe tuiste. Namibiërs in die Kaap gesels saam met Kaap vol hoop en deel self die mooi, die uniek en lekker wat op hul pad kom. In alles is Kaap vol hoop 'n program wat die mooi en die lag na vore wil bring en 'n program waar ons mekaar kan opbou en leer. Daar is hoop. Daar is 'n Kaap vol hoop.
Ons is in Henties Bay en ons is hier by Spar Henties Bay. Goeiemôre Karel, hoe gaan dit?
Môre, lekker en julle?
Nee, ons klaar nie, maar 'n baie groot dag vir julle.
Ja, nee, ons is baie opgewonde vandag om vandag hier te kan staan en dis 'n groot eer om hier te kan staan en ons nuwe pragtige winkel te kan oopmaak.
Ja, as jy nou sê vir my 26 Maart 2022 was 'n donker dag in julle geskiedenis. Hoe voel dit vandag?
Man, ek moet vir jou sê ons is vandag so bly om te kan sien wat gebeur het na die brand en wat gebeur het van as na ek meen hier staan dit en jy kan sien is 'n pragtige winkel wat hier so is en om hom vandag te kan open is 'n groot voorreg om deel te wees van dit en te kan sê ons het hom opgebou van die grond af.
Ja, sê Karel, vertel vir my van hierdie nuwe winkel.
Man, ons het soos ek vir jou sê ons het hom begin bou die 26ste het af begin brand en toe begin bou ons en toe sit van die eerste steen tot by die laaste steen was knersende tande gewees en ons het nog harde werk wat ons gedoen het hierdie afgelope paar weke, maar alles het bymekaar gekom en ons is bevoorreg om hier winkel vir ons te open.
Ja, sê hierdie nuwe winkel is ook groter as die vorige ene.
Yes, hy is ook groter as die vorige enetjie. Ons het bietjie meer van ons erf geoccupy met vloerspasie. So hy is wel groter en ons kan almal wat Desember kom, kan ons in hierdie winkel inprop, so daar's genoeg spasie vir almal.
Ja, sê nou watter winkels akkommodeer julle nog hier binne?
Sorry, sê gou weer.
Ander besighede akkommodeer.
Ons het klomp local besighede wat ons ook support soos die mense wat hulle local produkte het. Hulle kan dit ook op ons rakke kom sit. Ons het baie local van ons goeders. So ons klein dorpies, ons klein mensies in ons dorpie kyk ons ook na om hulle produkte op die rak te sit.
Nou wat beteken Spar Henties Bay vir die mense van Henties Bay in terme van werkskepping en so?
Ons het nou tans so 65 mense wat by ons werk en ons het nou die casuals wat inkom, is die graad 12 leerlinge wat nou klaar maak met hulle matriek en net gou vinnig 'n geldjie vir Desember wil verdien. Hulle kom werk ook by ons, so dit is ook 'n werksgeleentheid vir hulle. En dan nou die ander mense wat ook hier bly, ek meen hulle almal het vir Spar gemis, so maar ons is bly om weer terug te hê.
Nou Karel, aansienlike skade met die brand. Hoeveel kos hierdie nuwe gebou vir julle?
Man, om die gebou te gebou het, ek moet sê die insurance het ons baie gehelp, maar dit is nogal 'n stewige bedrag, maar dit was nogal moeilik geweest, maar ons het op die ou en het ons toe reg gekom met dit.
Wat sal jou boodskap vir die mense van Henties wees?
Julle kan enige tyd 'n draai kom maak, hier's genoeg specials en genoeg plek vir almal.
Baie dankie.
En baie ja.
Baie bly dat ek vanmôre kan woorde gaan lees in Spar se opening. Want ek voel dis 'n lekker groot winkel, hy's lekker cool, ons Spar het heeltemal verander. En die pryse is ook nou gemaklik seker in die opening. Maar ek is baie tevrede met mevrou Alleen se poging vir ons. Wat is so baie geld het te help. Want Spar is ons winkel.